Hey there, welcome to the newest edition of Democracies in Crisis, brought to you in the middle of a corona pandemic. Hold on, I gotta pay attention to the road. Well, it's been some time since we met last. There's a shelter in place everywhere, and I'm driving to TLU to see if I can find a secure location where there won't be any coronavirus. And what I thought I would do is just review a little bit of the things that we covered last time, which was several weeks ago, just to get us ready for the second half of the semester. Now, you remember the last thing, hold on a second, I don't want to have an accident here. Now, you'll remember the last thing that we learned. We were studying Hungary under communism. Now, what I want you to think about here is I want you to remember or think back to Karl Barth's criticism of Nazism. Now remember, don't want to have another accident. Remember, Barth first objected to Nazism not for political reasons, but for religious reasons. First, he objected to the German Christians because he thought they had a false teaching and they were heretics, they had a false religion. Only eventually, slowly, did he come to object or oppose Hitler on political grounds. And basically what he felt was, or he argued was, that the Nazi state was an anti-state. It was a false religion. And because it was failing to fulfill the role of the state, but acting like a church. And because the Nazi state was an anti-state, it was failing to fulfill the role of religion, or the role of the state, but acting like a religion, Christians and the church had an obligation to oppose Hitler on religious grounds. It was sort of like, it was almost like the Antichrist. Hitler was a anti-state, a false religion, totally antagonistic to Christian truth. So Christians had to oppose it on the ground that, because it was a false religion. Now, it turns out that Karl Barth's attitude towards communism was completely different. He never supported the sort of mobilization against communism in the West, and he rejected comparisons between communism and Nazism. And the readings that you have for class today, or whenever you're going to read it, are all about this. And so the question you want to consider is, was Karl Barth consistent? Was his attitude towards Nazism and or his view, his judgment that Nazism and communism are fundamentally different, was that a consistent view, or was he mistaken, and was Barth inconsistent? So when we looked at Hungary last time, and communism in Hungary, the reason we did this was so that you could maybe form a judgment yourself about the extent to which communism and its interference in the life of Hungary, or the life of the church, was like Nazism. We looked at a number of ways in which the communists in Hungary were interfering into the life of the Hungarian church, removing people from office, requiring the church to agree to nationalization, and according to the author of that very interesting reading assignment, the communists were even requiring the church to produce a kind of false salvation history. So the view from last time was that it looks like communism is an awful lot like Nazism, and that both of these movements, not only that they're totalitarian, but they also make religious claims. They act like a false religion. All right, so that's what we want you to think about, or what I want you to think about when we start looking at the readings for today, which have to do with an argument between Karl Barth and Emil Brunner on whether or not communism and Nazism are the same or different. All right, that's all for the first round. I'll come back to you in a little bit once I find that secure location at TLU or wherever. So, one second. In the meantime, if you like whatever this is, don't forget to like it right on YouTube. And I'll see you again with my next installment soon.